It's an honor to be here. For those of you that don't know, $18 in the Jewish faith is Chai, which is the number 18, which is sort of a lucky number, and it stands for life and growth. And when I was a second year at Harvard Business School, these two young guys came into my class who had just started this organization called City Year. And their whole philosophy was give a year and change the world. And you're going to hear today about the importance of national service. And I think that there's many arguments to be made for national service. I'm going to start first with the emotional one or the moral one, and then there's some obvious economic ones. And I think it's really good when you have something like national service that actually covers both. It's a good thing to do, and it's the right thing to do. I was sitting in Temple on Monday. It was Rosh Hashanah. And one of the speakers had commented about why people should volunteer in our community. And she quoted something called Pirkei Avot, which is Ethics of Our Fathers. And the quote is something loosely translated to, you're not expected to complete all the work in your lifetime, but you are expected to try and to do something. And when we think about what has made America great, it is the fact that citizen leaders have dug in and have taken time out of their days, out of their work, out of their careers to make sure that they're doing something to strengthen their community, to strengthen their country, to strengthen their schools. City Year has often quotes an Iroquois proverb that says that every action you take must be thought of in the context of 7 generations. And it really helps you think. It's what are you doing today and tomorrow? What I thought was most interesting when I did some work on that quote is Benjamin Franklin actually used that quote back when they were envisioning what they thought our country should be. And there's a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of ways that you can go out there and help. And one of the most amazing things is that it is actually harder in the United States of America to get a slot in AmeriCorps and do national service than it is to get into many, if not most, competitive colleges in this country. That we do not have a problem of apathy in this country. We have a problem of access. And we have huge signing ceremonies when we do the Serve America Act, and everybody, it's bipartisan, and you know, Ted Kennedy and Orrin Hatch came together, and John McCain has supported this, and Barbara Mikulski, and everybody loves it. And then we proceed in the next 7 years not to fund it. And then when you bring it up to policymakers, many of them don't even realize it, because the interesting thing is that AmeriCorps is such a small part of the budget, but it's such an important part, that it often is an afterthought, even though it is a small dollar item that goes to the actual fiber of what makes this country great. And the programs themselves offer very much what we call a double bottom line investment. The benefits of national service are clear. The training that young people get, the level of engagement. There's been longitudinal studies that talk about the job skills that people get from national service, their propensity to vote, their propensity to engage in their communities, and everything else. And yet, we don't fund it. And we constantly have to explain what it is and why it is. And yet, when the FEMA Corps is able to dig in after Hurricane Katrina, after Joplin, and when City Year is able to open up in Louisiana right after Hurricane Katrina and be there and growing down in that region today, that's when you know when it touches your community. And we have to find a way to communicate this to America and to everybody to whom we speak. And the work that they're doing is also extraordinary. City Year, the one that I know the best, obviously, we take young people who volunteer in the 12% of the school systems in the United States that account for 50% of all the dropouts. In the United States today, for the first time in 50 years since they've been measuring, more than 50% of students in public schools are living below the poverty line in the United States of America. And getting young people to be able to take 2 years or a year of their lives and go in and help them and keep them in school and on track makes them multiples more likely to get a job, 8 times more likely to stay in school, better health care, better life outlook. And that, once again, is good for the economy and good for the fiber of this country. And the work is daunting. And at City Year, we tell the famous starfish story about a young person who saw a bunch of starfish that had washed up on a beach, and the tide was going out. And he went out there, and he started throwing them back gently, one after another. And an old man came up to him and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm sending the starfish back into the water because the sun's coming up and they're all going to die." And the old man said, "There's thousands and thousands of starfish. You'll never be able to help them all." And the little kid looked up and said, "You're right, but I helped that one." And when I think about that, and I think about people who have been willing to step up and help, one person I had the great pleasure of meeting who came out of Yale Law School and with degrees from Stanford, Oxford, and Yale, could have gone anywhere and could have made any amount of money in the world. And he decided instead to go back to his hometown or his home area and go work on his city council and then take the thankless job of mayor, and some say even more thankless job of United States Senator. But it's somebody who has taken those skills and taken national service to an incredibly high level. And I have had the pleasure of knowing a lot of politicians and statesmen over the years. And one thing I can tell you from the heart is the Cory Booker that I met back in 2000 is the Cory Booker that is sitting in front of me today, and is the Cory Booker that we are so fortunate to have as a United States Senator and an important voice on so many issues in this country. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Senator Cory Booker.